So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and very warm welcome, those of you here live on the Zoom, and everyone who's watching this on YouTube. So it's, you can't tell it from my camera, but it's an amazingly dark day here. There's one of these orange weather warnings and a storm looming. We're going to start with our prayers. I can just about see the paper because other than the light of the screen and the lights I need to set up for the recording, it's dark. So anyway, very warm welcome. This is our 26th session on the Mahayana Uttara Tantra Shastra, also known as the Ratnakotra Vibhanga. It's the very, very top, the very essence. In another way, as its name Uttara suggests, it's the end. It's where everything else ends up. There's this saying in Europe, all roads lead to Rome, or they led to Rome, which was quite true in the time. So all of our Mahayana Bodhisattva roads lead to these teachings that we're studying just now. So our Bodhisattva attitude, our Mahayana mind, is quintessential for studying this, which means that we remind ourselves as we do these prayers how much we are a part of everything. Everything's very big. Everyone is very, very, very many. And in one way, we're just a tiny, tiny part. But as we are just now focused on ourselves, that tiny part is infinitely large. And so it's quite nice. We're on a Zoom conference. So it's like that. When we zoom out, the universe is big. We're such a tiny part and connected with everything. But then our own life is so precious and it's all we have. So it's enormous. So turning our hearts in as much love and care as we can to everyone else, and especially those in the worst of suffering. Then we do our bodhicitta prayers. We take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and in the community of most noble minds. From this moment until we reach the very heart of enlightenment, through our practice of generosity and all the 6 transcendent virtues, may we reach total awakening and every enlightened quality, to be able to truly help sentient beings, so lost in samsara. May each and every being be well. May they live long and be healthy, be well provided for, have good friends, may they find respect and live in places of peace, places of plenty. Most of all, may they practice Dharma. May they each create the causes for those good circumstances to be their wealth in future lives. May they be freed from suffering and from creating causes of future suffering. May they discover the natural, sacred well-being, totally beyond suffering, and attain the great equanimity that's free of closeness or distance from anyone. Deyata shame shamavati shameta shatru om kurimarajite karota keore tejuwati oloyani pishuda nimale malapanaye kure kaka grase grasana om mukhi paramukhi amukhi shamedavani sawa graha pandanane nigrihatva Savabhava prabhadina vimukta marapasha savitva buddha mudra anudkatita savamare butsarita parishuddhi bhikashantu savamarakamani. Glorious Guru, source of all blessing, ever present above our head on lotus and moon seat, through your immense kindness, ever sustain us, that the accomplishments of body, speech, and mind flow from you, and we are one. We had a bit of a break last week for the Tonglen, monthly Tonglen practice. So it's another good opportunity for me to remind you to zoom in to where we are with these studies. So of all Buddhist teachings, there are the sutras directly from the Buddha, and there are the shastras, which are the various texts and commentaries of the great masters after the Buddha, elaborating the Buddha's teaching. They're the shastras. Amongst the shastras, then there are the Shravaka and the Mahayana Shastras, and amongst the Mahayana Shastras, this is one of the most important. It's the source of teachings about Buddha and Buddha nature for all the northern schools of Buddhism, all the Tibetan traditions, and also the Zen and Chinese, Japanese traditions. So it's a very key reference, it's the reference. This text comes from Asanga and from his inspiration of Buddha Maitreya, from whom he was considered inseparable. And the text itself is technically it's in three parts. A good beginning, which is the title and the homage, very brief. Good middle, which is the text itself, and the good end, the dedication. In the text itself, we have two main sections, the result to be achieved and the cause for achieving it. The result to be achieved is presented through three chapters: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. That's what we need to become Buddha, teach the Dharma, create the Sangha. And the cause for that is enlightenment, Buddha nature, enlightenment, Buddha qualities, Buddha activity. Two main sections consisting of 7 key chapters, which are called 7 Vajra points. We're in the 5th one, which is about enlightenment. It can be considered, so the teachings it gives on enlightenment can be considered, depending on how we analyze it, because the original text didn't come with sections. It was just one continuous poem, beginning to end. Not the 7 Vajra chapters, not the subsections. It was just one long poem. The analysis that gives us all of these categories and subcategories comes from the Tibetans, who are very keen on that, and very good at it as well. So the analysis of this chapter on enlightenment can be presented as either 7 or 8 sections, depending whether what we did already a few weeks ago, the first bit, which is the nature and the cause, whether they're taken as one thing or whether they're considered as 2 separate sections. So the numbering can vary depending which commentary you look at. As we explore enlightenment in detail, according to Buddha Maitreya, then we've been looking at its function. That's where we stopped last time. When we see how does something work, what does it do? It's like vehicles. They transport you from one place to another. That's what they do. When we look at them, we can look at them in terms of their bodywork, their tires, their engine. That's what they are, what they have. But what does it do? What does it do? It transports you somewhere. So what does enlightenment do? It fulfills our two aims. Our aims for ourselves and our aims, our wishes for helping others. So enlightenment fulfills both of these, and we've looked at that quite a bit. And where we finished, got some lightning now. Where we finished was to see the brief resume of, by the way, if I suddenly disappear, it's probably because there's no more power. And so it might be a case of see you next week. So just in case. We saw that this aim for oneself, this highest fulfillment for you, for me, the highest we could ever achieve, the best, the very, very best for ourselves. Sometimes Taisitupa, when he finishes his teachings, he wishes us all the very best. The very best for you. What would it be? And we see that is freedom. And the word for freedom is vimukti, or is mukti, in fact, in Sanskrit. Vimukti means best freedom, highest freedom, total freedom. And so freedom from what was limiting us, from what was poisoning us, freedom from those things. So this aspect of enlightenment, which is our own perfect freedom from everything that was damaging us before or limiting us, that's fulfillment for oneself. That's the function of enlightenment. The second function is fulfillment for others, and that mainly comes through the wisdom that is natural to enlightenment, is innate to enlightenment. It just is. It is wisdom. It's not something or someone that has wisdom. Enlightenment is wisdom. It's the isness of wisdom. And through that wisdom, then we can benefit others. Don't need it ourselves. You're enlightened. It's as high as you can get. You're there. You've arrived. No more traveling, no more. So we don't need the wisdom for ourselves. We've become the highest wisdom. And that will be the source of benefiting others. So we finished in the text on the summary of this section of function, and we carry on to look at it in more detail. But where we finished, it says they have two attributes and one attribute. I think I explained that quickly at the end of the last session. So now page 201 and verse 190. And by the way, today we have a lot of things to get through. Today is a more technical day. Lots of things. So verse 190, and in fact 190, 191, 192 and 193. It is untainted because the defilements, along with their accompanying conditioning, have ceased. Jhana is considered as all-embracing since it's unattached and unimpeded. They are uncreated since their nature is at all times indestructible mentioned and explained as everlastingness, and so on. Destructibility is to be known through the following four aspects, since they are the counterpart of everlastingness and so forth: decay, drastic change, interruption, and the inconceivable change of death. Since enlightenment is free of change, it should be known as everlasting, at peace, permanent, and deathless. So these four verses are developing what we saw last time. We ended where it says they have two qualities and one quality. It was a bit hermetic on purpose. So they have two qualities, meaning they've got one quality each, 1, 2. We're talking about vimuktikaya, freedom, accomplishment for ourselves, and jnanakaya, the wisdom kaya, accomplishment for others, the wisdom. So they have each one a specific quality. The freedom has a key quality, the wisdom has a key quality, and then they share one quality, which is to be uncreated. We had that last time. We're just unpacking those ideas a little bit more. So it's freedom. If you remember, going back to the very first point about enlightenment, its nature, we saw that its nature is purity. So attaining purity is our freedom from impurity, right? The function, all of this is about the function. What's the function of enlightenment? It fulfills our wish for ourselves to get free from our impurity, so that means we attain purity. So it says in verse 190, it's untainted, untainted. This word taint, stain, in Dharma is a bit specific. It's not speaking generally. It's got a special meaning. So it relates to karma. Normally we have virtuous karma, unvirtuous karma. Virtuous karma brings you happiness, good results. Unvirtuous karma brings you suffering. So if we talk in very rough language, good karma, bad karma, right? Yeah, we talk about, we can have nice language, skillful karma, unskillful karma, virtuous karma, unvirtuous karma, whatever sort of politically correct, nice sounding words you like. Easy way, good karma, bad karma, right? But both good karma and bad karma are tainted. This word tainted is specific. It's not just generally meaning polluted, stained. It means tainted by duality. They happen within the world of dualistic perception. We do harm to others, and then suffering comes from other people, others' life to ourselves. In that dualistic world, we do good to others, and then good things come back to us from life, from other people, within the dualistic world, but they are both within the up and down world of samsara. As long as we're in duality, we're not out of the stream of consciousness. Even making wonderful, good karma in a dualistic world, we're making more and more good future lives. So duality is the taint. To get out of the continuum of karma, which could go on endlessly, we need to attain non-duality. So the taint is dualistic perception. The freedom is to get free of that taint. So it says it's untainted, because the defilements, the mind poisons, and desire, anger, ignorance, and so on, the defilements which are the cause of karma, along with their accompanying conditioning, have ceased. There is no more cause of karma. But here we're not just looking at now, we're looking at all of the history we carry. So I'd like to unpack this a little bit. It's in this text, we're up on the highest level, right? We're looking at enlightenment, we're in high-flying teachings. Let's come back down to earth, because if we come back down to earth and consider our present situation, it will be helpful not just for this section on function, but when we come to the next section on endowments, which has 15 points, and we go through them, it's quite a lot of thinking, and it's maybe not the most interesting for a lot of people. Let's have a look at the reason why it's not so interesting for a lot of people. I think this is useful for us. And let's zoom in on one area of example which is quite common, and you'll see in yourself or in the Dharma world around you, which is desire, attraction, human relationships. And so in this life, people can get to a point where they really feel, I'm beyond that now. I don't need to be on dating sites or looking for a companion, or generally sort of available, if you know what I mean. People walk around in the world with a certain availability. Does that make sense? Can you nod if that makes sense? And you decide, I'm going to become unavailable because I want to give all my life to Dharma. It makes so much sense. This is the next level up. And then we realize how much of us is animal, on a very sort of animal, reproductive, sexual level. Let's take an unkind example. We've gone past it already this year, but the time when the deer or the elephants get into what they call rut, and the deer go around, ooh, 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 and all they can think of is sex, right? They'll travel for miles, tens of miles, ooh, 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 until they can fulfill, or they say, elephants, just stay out the way of an elephant when it's like that, when it wants it and when it needs it, because it's dangerous. All it can think of is kind of, woo, totally, it's a better one-pointed focus than most of us get in meditation. It is completely one-pointed, because all the energy gets pulled down into your sacral chakra, and that shuts up the other chakras. You can't think straight anymore. You can't do anything straight with your brain, with your mind chakra, with your throat chakra. So anyway, we realize there is that part of us. And we think, I'm human, I'm in a human body. So it's got, it's inherited through evolution, all of these functions too, and you want to go beyond it. And maybe you do, for 5 years, 10 years. So this is like getting rid of the desire and the attraction that is the cause of the karma that makes the suffering, the mind poisons, the defilements. We overcome them. until. And this is what we're looking at in this verse. It says the defilements and their accompanying is called bhakja in Tibetan, which means history. So history means we've got all this karma from past lives, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know who's going to turn up in your life tomorrow. So whether the defilement's desire, and you thought you'd gone beyond it, but all of a sudden somebody walks into your life, and before you know it, you're caught up. You've become available again. You're functioning again to attract, to be attractive, and so on. It becomes irresistible, that kind of bit of you kind of takes over, and your sacral energy and the hormones and the historical karmic drive and your karmic connection with that person from past lives and so on, all of that takes over. Or if it's anger, many people think, I could never get angry anymore. How could I ever hurt anybody anymore physically with my speech? You really feel like you've gone beyond. Then some circumstances happen in your life, medical, situational. Somebody comes along and you find that person upsets you. And then it awakens. So, because we carry this latent karma, that's what it's called, latent karma. It's not active now, but we carry it. We carry it. We carry it. It's like something medical. It's in you, it's not working now, but certain circumstances could trigger it, and then you're going to get sick. As long as we carry this latent karma from the past, we are, one, vulnerable, but also, two, we have, what can you call it? An underground, hidden, secret hostility to Mahayana Dharma. We've come across that in this text. There's something in us which is uncomfortable with Mahayana Dharma, and that can be very subtle. It can be very subtle. It means we just don't, we're not yet ready to appreciate some of the teachings. There's that bit of us that, given the right person, wouldn't mind being available in the future, or that would still justify being angry about things, and so on. I'm thinking of that particularly for the next section on endowments, because it tells us the qualities that enlightenment has. And these qualities will really ring true for somebody who's already got a lot of that latent Dharma resistance out of their system. It goes along, it's part of what we call ego. Ego is just a global term for so many things. But there is a resistance to us. It's a resistance to the ideas of Dharma. It's also what keeps us off the cushion. It's a resistance to practice and so on. It gets more and more subtle, more and more tricky as you get along the path. So anyway, I wanted to mention that, and if we go back to the verse, which I used as an excuse to talk about this, and I hope it was useful, then it says, verse 190, It's untainted because the defilements, along with their accompanying conditioning, which means all this latent stuff that hasn't happened yet, and that will be a challenge for us in the future when it comes up, when the karma ripens. So all of that, the defilements as active or the defilements as a latent possibility that we carry from the past, all gone. All gone. With enlightenment, every single trace, every single possible part of the defilements has gone. So that is why is the ultimate fulfillment for ourselves. Every possible thing that could damage us, even the invisible stuff we don't know we're carrying, gone. This is incredible. I hope this makes some sense. I've seen it a lot in my life. You think you're okay, but then something happens, and your old desires, your old angers, your old jealousy comes up. I mean, you see through jealousy until somebody comes along and makes you jealous. And then you're jealous. And even though one part of you knows it's wrong and it's stupid, nevertheless, one part of you is and jealous and resentful. One part of you knows you want to go beyond desire, but there you are, desiring something. You want it. You're walking around telling your desire, shut up, go away, I don't want you. and then I think it can get really interesting. So this is the point here. All of that is gone forever. There's no hidden stuff waiting to come up. It's all gone. That's the freedom. The second aspect, fulfillment for others, it's all embracing. It's the biggest jhana. It's the wisest wisdom, because it covers everything, everyone. Everyone and all their karma and all the circumstances. Enlightenment is omniscient. There could be no greater wisdom for helping others. Why? Because it's unattached. That's number one. Our wisdom is hampered, it's poisoned by our own attachment, our own agenda, our own involvement, karmic involvement with other people. All that's gone. This is very, very utterly pure wisdom. And it's unimpeded. It means there's nothing standing in the way of knowing, which means it can know anything perfectly straight away. All of these points make so much sense when we study the path and what happens to Shravakas and Arhats, what happens to Bodhisattvas step by step as their meditation and their practice takes them to purity. We see, for instance, how the Arhats, they have a certain form of omniscience. It has limits, but they can know anything given the time. One thing at a time by focusing on it. Then they can know all the karma that's related, and they can go back so many lives, so many hundreds of lives in meditation. There's a certain form of omniscience, but focused on one thing and with certain limits. Here we're looking at Buddha's enlightenment, which is not one thing at a time. It's all embracing and instant. The more we study the path, the more this end result of the path becomes mind-bogglingly beautiful and perfect, and we really want to achieve it. So that was one quality each, the quality of freedom, the quality of wisdom. Now the shared quality, they are both uncreated, which means that both are natural. They're naturally present, always have been. They are not the result of causes and conditions coming together, because their nature is lasting and nothing can destroy it. That's why we call it Vajra nature. Mentioned and explained as everlastingness and so on, where at the beginning of this section, I think. Or earlier on, it was a couple of verses ago. There was everlastingness and so on, but we'll be coming back to those. So then, if we turn the page, verse 192, which I read already. You see here in verse 191, it said they're indestructible. Those two qualities of freedom and wisdom are indestructible. So verse 192 is, what do we mean by destructibility? Destructibility is to be known through the following four things, which are the opposites of everlastingness and so forth. Decay, drastic change, interruption, and the inconceivable change of death. And because it's free of those, then it should be known as everlasting, because it's free of decay, at peace, because it's free of drastic change, permanent, because there's no interruption, and deathless, because there's no death. That makes sense. So what we're looking at here is birth, aging, sickness, and death. Birth, aging, sickness, and death. Basic topic within samsara. Rebirth in the state as whatever it is, an animal, a human, a deva, with all the life quality or lack of quality that goes with it. There's that. But then when we look at what is called inconceivable or subtle, these four things, when you go from one bodhisattva level to the next, your state of mind and awareness and wisdom and freedom gets an upgrade. You've, in a subtle way, died from the previous state. You've been reborn in the next state. So you've died, you've been reborn, and there is birth, aging, sickness, and death in a subtle way. And when we look at the state of the Arhat, then they think they're in freedom, total freedom, that it will never change, but they go into that state after their last rebirth. It's a state of meditation, so there's birth. It lasts for as long as it lasts, and then it comes to an end, so there's aging. And then that particular mind-body you can't really call it sickness, but sickness means change of state. There's a change of state, and then the Arhat state ends, and they migrate up into the Bodhisattva journey. So birth, aging, sickness, and death can be gross. It can be incredibly subtle, where we have the same titles, but already it's not saying birth, aging, sickness, and death. It's saying decay, change, interruption, and so on. So this enlightenment, its function is to be totally beyond the changing world of birth, aging, sickness, and death, even in the subtle sense of going through bodhisattva levels or becoming an arhat and ending being an arhat. So having considered that, then we move on to the end of verse 193, top of page 203, this intelligence, so stainless, is the ground, because it is the foundation of all the virtuous qualities. Just as space, verse 194, which is without cause, is in itself the cause for the seeing, hearing, and so forth of form, sound, odors, sensations, mental data. Likewise, this is the condition for the untainted qualities to arise as objects of stable beings, sense faculties, through their unimpeded connection with the two kayas. So here we're looking at now the best possible benefit for others. We've seen how pure it is beyond birth, aging, sickness, and death. We're saying this purity, with its wisdom, becomes the ground for benefiting others. The ground, like the earth. Tiny flowers, things that, mushrooms that only last a few days, come and go in the ground. Other plants that last just 1 year come and go in the ground. Olive trees and drago trees that last thousands of years. I've got a drago tree in my garden. It's already 20 years old and it's only about this big. It will eventually, in a few hundred years, become a big tree. And my profile pic quite some years ago, about 15 years ago, was me in front of a drago tree in the Canary Islands. And that was, 1,500 years old. So these trees that take hundreds, centuries to grow, come and go in the ground. And even we see, like the Himalaya mountain range, the earth, tectonic plates pushed it up, and then the rain and the elements will wear it down. The oldest mountains on earth, some of them, are in the UK, in the Pennine chain, especially if you go up to Western Scotland. It's some of the oldest mountains in the world, but they were pushed up, and then the rain and the wind has worn them down to almost nothing. All comes and goes on the earth. It's the ground. So we're looking at this wisdom. This wisdom will be the ground in which come and go the various benefiting of this being, that being. The Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya manifesting to beings in the 6 realms, Sambhogakaya manifesting to bodhisattvas. All of that happens in the ground of this wisdom. And because that wisdom is what it is and allowing these things to happen, so it's compared to space, which enables things to happen, but it's not the cause for those things to happen. And this is a very important point for understanding Buddha nature. Space doesn't make things happen, but without space they can't happen. Space hasn't got an agenda. It's saying, now I'm going to make Ken's students see Ken through all these airwaves that pass through space and come onto our screens. Without space, this couldn't happen. Just the space between your eye and the screen. You couldn't see anything, couldn't hear anything. It's amazing. The sun makes so much noise, but we don't hear it because we've got a vacuum between us and the sun. If you could hear the sun, it would be deafening. It makes so much. It's this huge explosion. Can you imagine? Fortunately, we don't hear it. We'd be deaf. We'd be deafened by it. Sound can't travel through that. So, because of space, so much happens, or in that case, doesn't happen. Right? Your hearing, just now, me, depends on space. Your seeing depends on space. But space isn't the willpower making it happen. Space is an amazing example. Without it, things can't happen, but they don't happen because of it. The wisdom of Buddha mind enables Buddha activity, teaching activity, Pure Lands, everything to happen. But it's not causing it. What causes it happens on the path before. Our Buddha activity, when we become Buddha, our connection with other people experiencing us, it has its own causes and conditions. Just now, in our own lives, we meet Nirmanakayas, we meet living Buddhas because of our karma, because of our good wishes. There are causes and conditions we make that make us meet Nirmanakayas. As we move on and we become bodhisattvas, our meditation, our endless bodhisattva prayers will make the conditions for us experiencing the Pure Lands. There are causes and conditions, but this enlightenment that we're looking at, this natural, changeless, timeless state, isn't causing it, but without it, it couldn't happen. Very, very important point. So now we move on to the next section, which is section 5 or section 6, depending on the way you count, which is endowments. And we're going to see there are 15 endowments, which are listed at first in verse 196. Buddhahood is inconceivable, permanent, everlasting, at peace, immutable, perfectly at peace, all-embracing, concept-free. Like space, it is uninvolved, completely unhindered, free of coarse sensation, invisible, imperceptible, wholesome, and immaculate. That's our 15. In the commentary, going through them one by one. Number 1, it's inconceivable because only the self-knowing primordial wisdom of Buddha can know it. Number 2, it's permanent because it has no birth. Everything that's born dies. Everything that starts ends. This is permanent because it never started. Beginningless. Remember, one of the very first verses in the Buddha section, beginningless, centerless, and endless. Permanent because it has no birth. Number 3, everlasting because it has no aging, doesn't change. Number 4, at peace, no change through sickness. 5, immutable, no death. Number 6, perfectly at peace because it's free of suffering due to karma. Number 7, all-embracing through the all-embracing wisdom. Concept-free, there is no thinking mind in there. Through its primordial wisdom, which is suchness, the way things truly are, such as they are, suchness. Number 9, it's uninvolved because it's free of the defilements. Number 10, completely unhindered because it's free from the cognitive obscuration. We had that in the last couple of sessions. Number 11, free of coarse sensations because it is the true sphere of meditation. Number 12, invisible because it's formless. 13, imperceptible, has no characteristics. 14, wholesome, because it's utterly pure. It's the primordial goodness behind everything. And 15, immaculate. It's free from all the passing impurities of people's karma. So that's a brief summary, and then we're going to explore all 15 points briefly, because, well, in one way, it's not rocket science. It's something we can understand fairly easily. So, verse 197, one's own fulfillment and benefit for beings are made manifest through the Vimuktikaya and the Dharmacharya, the wisdom. These two foundations, own benefit and benefit for others, have the above 15 qualities of inconceivability and so forth. So this is the section on endowments. What's it got? In the last section, it was function. What does it do? So if we go back to that example of a vehicle, it transports you from one place to another. Now we're looking at what's it got? Well, what's this vehicle? It's a 30-ton man diesel lorry, right? It's got Maserati air horns, so it can go beep, 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 and really sound loud. And it's got this diesel engine that's like that. It's got a sleeping cab, so that it's also a camper, a sort of a camper van lorry, and so on and so on. We're looking at not what does it do, but what's it got? What's it endowed with? We're looking at, in this section, enlightenment closely from different angles. Quite a few things come up in each section, but it's because in this section we're looking at what it's got. And these 15 qualities maybe won't appeal to you. They won't have turned you on this morning. Maybe as you've been listening to my talk, you've not been going, wow, it's a peace. And my goodness me, it's immutable. Wow, I don't know if I can take any more. And we're only at number 5 of the 15. And number 6, not just at peace. Oh my goodness, it's perfectly at peace. I don't think this is happening, is it? I don't see anyone switched off because they can't take any more, or people getting up from their seats and dancing with joy. It's what I was talking about earlier. We're still very much, we've got this bakchak, this inheritance of desire and anger and ignorance and jealousy and pride, and there is kind of we're not ready for this yet. We're ready some way, but the more we get free, the more you'll appreciate what's being said in these 15 points. It's like, that will just be the way it is. Just now, we can't have the enthusiasm. We still have a lot of attachment to ego. We still have a lot of, we're plumbed in to our stream of consciousness. So it makes a barrier. So we'll go through them quickly. It says, the first one is inconceivability. Now in the commentary, this is developed at some length because it is an important point. The inconceivability of enlightenment. And it deals, so what we're talking about what is inconceivability? And the way it's presented in the commentary and the explanation is by contrasting two words. We have two words for wisdom in Sanskrit. In fact, there are more than that, but anyway, two key words. One is prajna, 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 however you pronounce it. And the other is jhana. Prajna and jhana. Prajna is the wisdom that we can develop in our stream of consciousness. Prajna means wisdom. Prajna. Pra means the best. The best. Pra. The best what? Jna. Jna means knowing. Prajna means best knowing. Best knowing. There's a lot of things we can know, but it's what Asanga and Maitreya would have called rubbishes. You know, I mean, you could know how to roll a good joint, but that's not going to help you get enlightened, right? It's what Asanga and Maitreya call rubbish knowledge. You know, we know very skillfully how to do so many things which aren't helpful for us. And we're really good at them. I mean, we are experts in samsara. I am, at least. I can't speak for you. But I'm really good at it. And had years, lifetimes of training. So prajna implicitly means the best knowing, the best meaning what's really good for you, that will help you, that will really help you. So that is traditionally, and in many, many places, and it's something we need to know, presented as the 3 stages of prajna. Study, reflection, and then what's usually translated as meditation, it might be better translated in this case as contemplation. Because when people hear meditation, they think of, like, you know, sitting on your cushion, doing your practice. And it's not so much that. So it's a development of wisdom that starts externally, and we take it more and more on board until we become it in 3 steps. So the first step, which is called study, means getting Dharma straight, understanding it properly, not being confused, not misunderstanding it. Big misunderstandings, big one. And when people first come across Dharma beginners, and they hear about teachings on no self, they go, I don't exist. You don't exist. And Buddha's not saying that, but they treat it as nihilism, like we don't exist at all, which is not what the Buddha intended. It's misunderstanding. It means we only exist relatively, and that's huge. It's all your life. It's all my life. You can say only if you're looking from an absolute point of view, but it's everything. There's nothing else beside the relative existence, apart from Buddha's wisdom about the relative existence. So prajna means getting it right, proper understanding, and not confusing things, understanding how the Dharma teachings don't all apply all at once. They're a path where this is what you need to know when you start, and that changes to this, and then this is what he needs to know or she needs to know. It's not the same what we need to hear at different stages of our evolution. The Dharma you need to hear to really help you, that I need to hear to really help me. Dharma is all the teachings the Buddha gave to all those different people over 45 years. It's often compared to medical advice. Not everybody is suffering from all the sicknesses. So somebody comes to a doctor, they give them the advice, the medicines they need at that point. Dharma is like that. So we need to understand Dharma in so many ways and get it straight. It's a huge task. And in Shedras, for instance, where Shedra is the Buddhist Dharma study colleges, depending on the tradition. In Tibet, it was 6 years, or sometimes even 9 years of study to get it straight. Very, very crystal clear. And the year is study every day with 2 weeks holiday a year, right? And exams and debate and peer review and all that kind of thing. So the first thing is to get Dharma straight, the ideas. But that's only the beginning. Once we get it straight, then the second step is deep reflection, where we need to really chew it over, go deeper into it. What does this really mean? Bring it to life for ourselves. And that comes through applying the ideas to our own life, to what we observe in life around us, and so on. There's a lot of teachings about how to do this. And we learn how to bring Dharma to life through reflection. And our teachers help us to take the words and the ideas and bring them to life, like I'm trying to do today. And so the ideas become more and more real for us, more and more relevant. We see, gosh, this is so true. This is so meaningful. And then the practice, we feel more and more, we appreciate more and more the power of the practice. So that stage of contemplation gradually comes to its full maturity, which is the third stage, which we call that stage of reflection. The second stage of reflecting on the teachings, bringing them to life, becomes contemplation or meditation, when you've become the teachings, or the teachings have become the way you think, the way you react, the way you appreciate, your view. And so that third stage, meditation, doesn't mean we sit down and meditate on the teachings in some kind, on a cushion. It's the fruition of the second stage. We've explored the teachings so much, we've put them to the test so much that we've become them. They've become us. It's the way we think, the way we see life. So those three stages, study, reflection, contemplation, meditation, develop prajna. They develop wisdom within our stream of consciousness that helps us become free. But none of those can understand this enlightenment. So only jhana. Jhana comes from within enlightenment, where enlightenment knows itself. Enlightenment cannot be known as an other. It's not like all the things that we explore. I can take anything. I can take what? I've got my phone here, right? It's something other. I can explore it. I can come to understand it, see how it works. I use my intelligence. I use my everything to understand this duality, right? I develop prajna, wisdom about it. As much as can be known about it, I can know about it. But when it comes to enlightenment, it cannot be known by anything, any level of prajna, because it cannot be seen, heard, smelt, tasted, touched, felt, thought. We're not equipped. What do? All of our wisdom is based on what we've seen, heard, If I say to you banana, it's because you've seen a banana. You've tasted a banana. If I say to you Mahler's Fifth Symphony, maybe you've heard it. It will make sense to you if you've heard it, or at least if you know that Mahler was a composer. All of our wisdom is based on words which are based on our experience, which basically is our five senses, and the thinking processes we've developed in this dualistic world. None of that can grasp what enlightenment is. It's like the tongue cannot see a distant galaxy. It's a tongue, can only taste what you put on it. All of our equipment, until we reach first bodhisattva level, until we reach pointing out of the nature of mind, cannot get enlightenment. It can only be known within itself, and when it's known within itself, then the stream of consciousness is inactive, is powerless. So we can make some sense of that. Where were we? I got lost. Yeah. So this first point, inconceivable, can only be understood by self-knowing, autocognizant jhana. Two, it's permanent because it, need to do verse 199, page 206. Being so subtle, it is not an object of study. Being the ultimate truth, it is not reflection, contemplation's domain. Being the profound universal essence, it falls out with the scope of mundane sorts of meditation and their like. Verse 200, this is because the immature have never seen this before, just like those born blind, confronted with visible form. They can't see it, it's there, but they can't see it. They don't have the eyes to see. And even the deeply realized are like the newly born, seeing sunlight from within their room. So this is an example I've used before already. This is where it actually crops up in the verses. A newly born baby, right? Just popped out the womb, right? In the delivery room with baby eyes. So this is a delivery room with a real window. Right? So there's sunlight coming in, not just artificial light. So the newborn baby experiences light. Can't deny that. There's light from the sun. And after that, every form of light it will experience throughout its life is light. It comes from the sun. But it's a newborn baby. It's got a lot of light experiences to go through. It will see the real light of the sky. It will see the sun, which is the source of the light. It will see so many aspects of light. The reflected sunlight, that's moonlight, and like the aurora borealis, or the blue light inside the icebergs of the Antarctic, or the light inside crystals. So many forms of light. It has yet to experience, but the nature of the light that the baby growing up will experience is light, is the same. So here it says the deeply realized, it means first level bodhisattva onwards. Even they are like a newborn baby. They experience the true nature of mind, the wisdom to a certain extent, the Buddha mind. So although afterwards Buddha mind never changes, they are only just beginning. So when we get introduced to the nature of our mind, at last we get it. The truth of this mind which has been producing all of our illusions. You got it. You broke the mystery. You got through to it. It's like, on a computer, you get down and down. I had a friend who was a real computer expert. I remember with the earliest computers that we were using in Samiling. We had them quite early on, in fact. And he came and he showed how all of it, he showed us the code, is 010100111101. On, off electrical pulse. And that's producing everything the computer does. This screen you're looking at is incredibly fast, panning across all the pixels of on, off in different ways. Binary code. It makes the sound, the sights, everything. So, and you can't go lower than that. Once you get down to the on-off binary code, you've got it. What's going on in everything the computer does. When you get to the nature of mind, it was that made all of samsara possible and liberation and the Dharma path possible. You got it. You're like the newborn baby. You got it, but you've got a lot more to get yet. Does that make sense? It's like light. You got it. That's light. But you've got a long way to go before you're Buddha. The deeply realized, the first level bodhisattvas, truly experience the truth of mind, autocognizant jhana. It means in their meditation, they're there. On the cushion, they're there. But the extent of all of the implications, ramifications of their would get more and more through the 10 bodhisattva levels and become perfect of Buddhahood. Even the deeply realized are like the newly born seeing sunlight from within their room. Point 2, it's permanent. It has no origination, no causes and conditions brought it into being. That's why we call it the unborn state. It is everlasting, point 3, because it never ends. It will never cease. Everything that comes into being through causes and condition ends. This doesn't, because it didn't come into existence. Number 4, it's at peace because it's free from birth and death. We are subject to birth and death, physical birth and death, and then in more subtle states, mental birth and death is change. This is all finished. We are at peace. This is so mind-blowing. Like I said, you're not dancing when you hear this. Even I'm not dancing, I ought to be. Everything, each moment comes into being and it's gone. The most beautiful moments of your life, you remember them? Oh, ouch. They came, they went. Everything comes into being through causes and conditions and ends. The end of all gathering is dispersion. The end of all building is collapse. The end of all meeting, party. Every moment, every day starts and ends. Our life starts and ends, gone. Beyond all of that, it's a peace. A peace means not peace like that. It means free of trouble. All the trouble of birth. So it's a peace because it has no birth and death. And the next one, number 5, it's immutable. Doesn't change because it's absolutely rooted in the true changeless nature. And so when we look at this in more depth, we look at the birth, aging, sickness and death of beings in the 6 realms, of arhats, and even the bodhisattva states. It's beyond all of that. Perfectly at peace, number 6, since it is the truth of cessation. All embracing because its wisdom has been understood, has been made manifest. Concept free because it does not dwell. There we need to understand how we dwell with concepts, our definitions, our ideas, our interpretations of who we are, what's happening, and so on. All that gone. No concepts. So because there's no concepts, what is concept free? Free. You know, concepts, one, we can only do one idea at a time now. You can't do 2 concepts at the same time. Each moment we are in the prison of a concept, an idea, a view, a notion of me, the experiencer, and what's being experienced. It's so limited. It's so conditioned by our history, our psychology. Woohoo! This is concept free. It's connected to everything, aware of everything. This is amazing. It's something to dance about. Non-clinging, uninvolved, is at number 9, since there are no more defilements. Completely unhindered, number 10, since all of the blockages, the obscurations to knowledge have been purified. Free of coarse sensations, because it all of the obstacles to meditation are gone. So these obstacles to meditation are usually classified 2 ways. When you try and meditate, you're either too busy, too excited, or you're too dull. These are the 2 main blockages to our meditation. Either you can't stay focused because your mind's here, it's there, it's distracted, busy. Or the other obstacle is that you are dull and you're kind of sleepy. I can't help but think of hour-long meditations in Samiling's shrine room, and about 40 minutes through the dormitory. The shrine room is kind of, there's kind of, maybe some people are really more awake than they've ever been in their life, with their mind fully alert and awakened and absolutely living every second with a vividness and a truth and a perfection. But it feels like, to my deluded mind, that it's kind of, it's very pleasant. It's incredibly therapeutic. But this kind of dullness, sleepiness, just kind of thickness, is the other obstacle to meditation. So all of that and all of the subtle aspects, because it gets very subtle, little, temporary busynesses, split seconds of distraction, and then not so awake, you're a bit less awake. And we wake ourselves up with awareness. It gets very, very subtle. All of that gone. So that leaves us with 4 of these 15. It's invisible. Doesn't, enlightenment we're talking about, it doesn't have a form. It's imperceptible. There are no definable characteristics. It's wholesome because it's totally good. There is nothing but goodness in enlightenment. Not even the slightest impurity. So in things like Mahamudra prayer, it says you reach the state where even the word, the idea, the notion of suffering is not present. It's very deep, that. And it's immaculate, the last word, meaning there is no obstacle to meditation. So there, one way and another, and I did rush us through it. We've gone through endowments, the 15 endowments of enlightenment. To go further would take a lot of time. I don't think this is the time now. And before the talk, when we were chatting, I mentioned that I'd like to go back in the time machine and see some of the reasons why Asanga included different parts of this text. I wouldn't be surprised if in the particular Buddhist trend that was present in Kashmir when he wrote this, and in the advanced studies, that was really the zenith of Buddhist studies that happened in Kashmir at Asanga's time. It really, it didn't get any better than that, ever. And somewhere in all of those amazing studies, there probably was this notion, this analysis of the 15 key points of enlightenment, which, as I said, for more evolved minds, these are wow points. All 15 of them are just amazingly turn you on as a Buddhist points. Okay, so I'd like to see quite where that came from. And of course, in the official version, it came from the inspiration of Maitreya Buddha. But, there are various ways of understanding that. So we'll stop there for today. But the next point, which is number 6 or number 7, depending which way we look, number 6 or number 5, actualization. This is really, how can you say, the part of this chapter on enlightenment that you really need to know about. If you take away anything from this chapter, take away the next section, because it's about the various kayas, the 3 kayas and the other kayas. These come up a lot. You need to understand it so that your understanding of Mahayana Buddhism is correct, not confused. What we've done up to now is very important, but the next section is really, as far as I can see, the most important. So we'll come back to that next week. Just for now, we'll dedicate whatever was good from today's exploration of these wonderful verses. May whatever virtue was created by this session contribute to the state of omniscience being attained by the main enemy, our mind's defilements, being completely defeated. Through that, may each and every sentient being become freed from the ocean of existence, troubled by the waves of rebirth, aging, sickness, and death. May this precious bodhicitta arise in those in whom it's not arisen. In those in whom it has arisen, may its development know no setbacks. May it increase ever more and more. Through our virtue, may we quickly achieve Mahamudra and establish every single sentient being in that same accomplishment. Thank you. I hope the sound was clear today. I only noticed when I picked up that prayer sheet that my microphone had collapsed. So I hope you heard everything okay. Good. So over to you. It's time for your comments or questions, reflections.
Ken, I'd just like to say I really appreciate how you've taken us through this quite dense material and acknowledged that we're all at different stages, and some of it will just be more intellectual understanding. And I think, and you a couple of times said, okay, people haven't got the wow factor on this. I think for me, it's a kind of a low-key wow factor, because it's like, okay, this is what I can look forward to when I've got to the stage of not only receiving pointing out instructions, but actually receiving them properly, because I think there's a difference. And I'm one of the fortunate people who over the next 3 years will receive pointing out instructions from Thai Satupa. Whether I receive them properly or not is another matter. So there is a sense in which you can still have a wow response to today's teachings, but it's about anticipatory rather than wow for now. And thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, yeah. I'm so grateful. I mean, what I give you is more or less what I received. So I'm grateful to my teachers for all the amazing time they gave me. And in fact, that all boils down to gratitude to Akon Rinpoche, because he really pressured them to give time to me. He kind of, when they came to Samiling, he really, pressured them, I suppose is the word. And so I hope the benefit comes through.
Ken?
Mm-hmm.
It's Yael again.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to remark that these teachings are very emotional to me. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily dancing, but it's kind of, it's like, I don't know, it brings up a lot of emotion. So I don't know if it counts, but that's why I close also the camera sometimes. I'm trying to understand something which maybe I'm not equipped to understand yet, but I would just like to understand the theory of it at least. It's this thing that when you've reached, let's say, the maximum, let's say you've reached Buddhahood and you know everything, and there's no obstacle for you to not know something. What does it mean? It means that you never discover new things? It's in you straight away, you understand.
Hmm?
Even in mundane things, I don't know, you get a new device or something, and maybe it's a
Well,
silly.
the main thing is there's no you. I mean, the feeling of a me experiencing, that really goes at first bodhisattva level. It's still there on the surface, you've got your history, but the whole point of the whole definition of reaching first bodhisattva level is that you've entered that space where everything is known, or where things are known, and feelings of me are just a history that pops, that's still there on the surface, and it needs dealing with, and it will take all 10 bodhisattva levels to completely, utterly get rid of your history. But you're already on the first level in that space, which hasn't got your subjective projection onto things. Things just are what they are. You're like the baby in the delivery room, but nevertheless things are as they are. So that gets more and more and better, and the numbers and the extent and everything expands. So when you get to the very, very end, then there is no more you. That you've dissolved into that ocean that knows everything and has always known everything and everyone. You're like the drop of water that's finally dissolved. So on the way up to that, as we get to the first bodhisattva level, as we go through the bodhisattva levels, then there are new things discovered, and it's like all these things, it's a bit indescribable, but it's not as though there's a discoverer so much anymore. It's just it just is. It's how can you say, it's like a microscope. You turn the thing and you see it 1,000 times, 3,000 times. It's more and more, but there's not the feeling of, oh, I'm seeing more and more, or there's something new to discover. It's an opening up which is more and more natural, and where there is less and less me. Best way I can describe it. Don't know if it helps. But when it talks about Buddha's enlightenment, Buddha's full and total enlightenment, there is nothing new because it embraces everything and everyone. There can't be. There could never be anything new. And like it says, for us this is inconceivable. How can we conceive of it with our concept mechanism? How can we think of it when we've only got to turn to our own experience of what we've seen, what we've heard, the meditation experiences we've had? It's totally other. And until we get to what Ros was talking about, this stable entry into the true nature of mind through the immense kindness of our Guru helping us to get to that point, then it will only make theoretical sense, but then it becomes real. It's
So discovering new things, or I don't know, seeing, understanding, it's all dualistic.
It is, yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful dualistic if it's Dharma discovery.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a lot to look forward to. There's nothing wrong at our level with duality because we're going to be stuck with it for a long time. Doesn't go to a seventh bodhisattva level. So what we want's a beautiful duality, meaningful duality. And there'll be so much to awaken to discover.
So that's what it means, that duality is a hindrance, because until you get rid of it, you need to discover new things all the time and understand new things all the time. But when you become it, like you say, you don't have this, then you don't discover your death.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. That becomes your default nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ken, I loved how you broke down the idea of prajna
Mm-hmm.
into those. I hadn't understood it in those three ways, about the study, the reflection, and the meditation.
Mm.
Then I was reflecting what cropped up in my mind when you were talking about the meditation part, which was the direct experience of what is being taught. I was then I've been thinking a lot about when we dedicate at the end of our practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if I'm right in thinking that how can one, I mean, we can dedicate any virtue we may have gained, but we're not actually losing anything, partly because of the concept of emptiness, which I don't fully understand, but partly because of emptiness, but partly because when you have a direct experience of something, how is it possible to give it away? Like something must change in us.
Mm. It's with dedication, as with so many things. It's like in the Tonglen practice and so many things. Although we are totally and heartfeltly thinking of other beings, the benefit of what we're doing, heartfeltly and for the benefit of other beings, is for ourselves. So what happens in a session like today, one hopes, is that things click, little doors open, you're a bit wiser. Our mind poisons could turn that into pride, arrogance, desire could turn it into a misuse of knowledge, to become a charlatan teacher. There's all sorts of things that could happen. So at the end, when we're dedicating, what we're doing with our own stream of consciousness is thinking this, whatever was good, whatever was wise, is for everybody. So they get enlightened, so they achieve Mahamudra, so they stop suffering, so they achieve happiness, all the words we say. And that means that the karma we make in the session, this 1.5 hours of karma, goes into our stream of consciousness in the best and purest way possible. We're not ending it with pride in any way or any of the other mind poisons. So when we look at how you make karma, there are 6 elements in making karma. And the way you go into it, your intention, or what you do, at the end, how you feel about it, it means that if we do the dedication properly, that package of karma has gone into our stream of consciousness undamaged, and it will benefit us in the future. And it's because it benefits our Dharma path that in the future we can really and truly help others. Because we have the wisdom, we've transcended desire and anger and so on now, so we've really done it, so that we can be a pure and shining light for others. So when we dedicate, we can't actually give it away. It would be so wonderful if we could. But what we're actually doing is concluding whatever we just did in as perfect a way as possible, so that it benefits our own Dharma stream. And then through that, in the long term, we will help others. That's kind of the mechanics of it. Does that help, Vicky?
Yeah, I'm circling back to this point, trying to really iron it out within me, because I always remember Milarepa's idea of the parameter of generosity about letting go,
Mm-hmm.
the idea of letting go. And I know last time I asked about the differentiation, this generosity, this dedication, is it a letting go or is it a sharing? And
What
what
he
you
says
say,
is, other than letting go of me, me, me. So me means the mind poisons
okay,
and the delusion of self. He doesn't just say letting go.
uh-huh,
He says in that the shortest version of the six paramitas, he gives very famous verse. So he says, he doesn't say me, me, it's the way I render it into English. He says, other than letting go of me, there is no other generosity. So the me is a code word, or it's an overall word for the delusion of self and all the mind poisons associated with that. So,
okay,
yeah.
thank you. Food for thought, thank you.
Maybe we're finished. Going, gone. So, wish you.
Can I ask one question?
Hi, Mika. Yeah.
Is it okay? Are you okay? Is okay to ask still one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking this being available to Dharma, this teaching today, and I understand for the older people it's like a natural, like that you become older and starting like giving more space to spiritual study, and when there people have family, it's already maybe the children are grown up, and then you don't have more duties to help them so much anymore. And then I was thinking about people like also in the older age, because there is some examples in some teachings and books about some masters who combine this like partnerships and relationship life and this sexual practice to also in the old age, like being close to partner, not maybe just sex, but like sharing energy and being close to some consort. Example, Tilo, but there is some sources, they say that he had some partners who had like sexual partners who he studied with Dharma. And then there's these examples of Padmasambhava and Yeshe Chokwal and this other partner who had this Karma Mutra practice. And then there's a Bhutanese king who even have two wives, and they say that he's quite deep in Tibetan Buddhism practice also himself. And then there's this many tribes of nomadic tribes in Bhutan, Mongolia, and Tibet who are like who have even some women they might have like polyamory relationship, like two men, or then there is some shepherds who might have like two wives. Also, it's about helping the work. There is a lot of work they need help, so it's also about that. And nowadays there is this some tantric polyamory things and Tibetan was already before, like long time ago, many 100 years ago, these nomads, they had like these like relationships. So my question is, because I'm still dreaming about the family, and I have lost my child before, so I'm still dreaming about family, but I still give very valuable this Dharma study, and part of me would like to study more, but part of me want to have family. And then you say that when you go further and higher, then you are more only available to Dharma. But how about these younger people, they are really want to learn Dharma, but they still are in a relationship. And then there is these old examples like Padmasambhava, but I explained these examples who even some of them had old life relationship with even with some sexual practice, and they still get very high in Dharma. So this is my question, that is it possible to get very high level and study Dharma with a partner and having a sexual relationship even in the very old age in Tibetan Buddhism?
Yeah, it's a huge area, Mika. There's no, how can you say, 3-sentence answer to this. There's only a couple of things I can say that can help you think about it. One of them, for sure, and that many lamas talk about in this and related questions, is you really have to understand the difference between the person on the path and the enlightened master. What they do in terms of the enlightened masters, in terms of activity, is a manifestation of enlightenment. It's not necessarily a means to be used on the path. It's like, it's not your question, but there's a lot of confusion over the last 20, 30 years, especially amongst Chögyam Trungpa's students, about crazy wisdom.
And Karmapa also married and have children, and he's the main guy. So this is also like part of the question.
Yeah, but they weren't married in the sense that we say married. You know.
But the new Karmapa...
It means they made a baby with somebody, right? They made a baby with somebody. Doesn't mean they were married. Doesn't mean they were leading a married life, necessarily, although some did. But what masters do, I want to go back to finish what I was saying about crazy wisdom. Trungpa Rinpoche made it crystal clear. He said, when you become enlightened, and your mind, as we've seen today, is pure, and your wisdom is so good, what you do there, as a manifestation to help other people, is one thing. But so crazy wisdom, what people call crazy wisdom, people did unconventional things, it meant, is one thing. But it was never taught as a means on the path. And lots of people think, I will develop quickly on the path if I act crazily, if I act according to my emotions, if I act according to my desire, if I act according to my anger. Spontaneous is spontaneous, so it must be non-dual. It's a load of rubbish. I mean, very clearly, Trungpa Rinpoche was the authority for our Kagyu lineage. 16th Karmapa said that. Whatever he says, that is Kagyu philosophy. He taught Taisitupa Karmapa. He taught all of our great masters. So he says crazy wisdom was never a means on the path. So that's just one example of, sexual union in rare circumstances can be a means on the path for people who are living as yogis, which in the past, we go back to Tilopa and all these great masters, meant that you were 24/7 under the guidance of the Guru. Right? It didn't mean, so there was that. And the main point is not that you have the best of both worlds, is that even in the intensity of sexual union, your mind is not feeling desire. And so in Tilopa Naropa's story, he gives Naropa his own consort for almost a year. And they are exploring sexual union in all of its energetic aspects. And then one day Tilopa just turns up and said, that's it, I'm taking her back. And you finish that. So it's not, oh no, what am I going to do now without the sexual union? Naropa, who'd understood, he said, happiness is to offer to the Guru. So that was the end. of that. You see, it's one thing to be desire-free in ideal circumstances, like in a retreat cave, if that's ideal circumstances. But to be desire-free when you've got the hottest possible partner right in front of you, that's the challenge. To be desire-free when you are so turned on that you couldn't get more turned on, and to not be involved with it, to have a non-dual mind while that's happening. If you can do it in those circumstances, then you can do it anywhere. This is the point. So it's always, there's no other teachings on enlightenment than these. This text is the basis for the Kala Chakra teachings. It's the basis for all of the highest level of Tantra, which is called non-dual Tantra. This text is the basic theory. There is no other enlightenment than what we're seeing. Total purity, freedom from desire, freedom from the mind poisons. So what you were explaining, Mika, is what's the case for most of us. We are human. We still have so many human tendencies. We are seeking companionship. We are seeking parenthood sometimes. These have an ancient history. And at the same time, we are connected to Dharma, and we realize this is going to be an amazing benefit in our lives. And very often these two things are conflictual. That's wonderful, because it's in resolving the conflict that we grow. It's in understanding what's going on, making our choices, and then those choices become vows. They become commitments. And you can't really understand the power of commitment until you understand the enormous conflicting energies that are going on inside us. So we need to dissociate whatever masters did in terms of sexual union from our own desire, because in theory at least, those masters were desireless. So it's a long session, but I'll give you one example, which I think did actually happen. I don't think it's just a story, because there are a couple of different stories related to it. And there was one master who was a yogi, traveling on foot. That's what most people did in Tibet, traveled on foot. And he's passing a young lady, and he stops and he said, "Quick, let's have sex." And she looks at him, she says, "No way. He's probably not that attractive looking a character anyway." And then she walks on for a bit, and then she says, "But maybe he was somebody special, a yogi. Maybe I should go back." And so she turns back and says, "Well, I don't know, tell me why." He said, "No, don't bother now. It's too late." And she said, what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, you see those two mules copulating in the field? I was trying to make a human rebirth for somebody, and who's just leaving the bardo state. That's why I asked you." And so they got drawn to the area. And then, I don't know if you've studied what the end of the bardo state is like, but you're desperate for rebirth. So the mind was drawn to the two mules copulating. There's another story that goes with that, where a monastery asked this same master, they say, "Our abbot died, and we want your help finding his reincarnation." He said, "I wouldn't bother if I were you. Just find the best person you've got and make them abbot." But they say, no, Lama whatever. No, Lama what's his face. He was so wonderful. We really want. And in the end, they insist so much. He said, okay, if you insist, set up a throne tomorrow and I'll bring him here, or in a week's time. So he leads in a young mule, right? Because, so these stories are related. So it wasn't because he suddenly had a passionate desire for the young lady he met on the road. It's because he saw some skillful activity he could accomplish that would give somebody a human rebirth, give that Lama who had mixed karma a human chance to get rid of the donkey karma, another human life to get rid of the donkey rebirth karma or animal rebirth karma. Anyway, it's very late. Have a lovely week and see you next week. All the best. Bye-bye.
So very much.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.